Hey, LMAO, it's your boy Impact Joker coming at you with the first movie review that I'm going to be doing on this channel. That being said, I've already tried to film it probably 6 or 7 times. None of them have turned out good, so I'm just going to, if I don't like completely screw up, I'm going to try and make this the last one. I know that I'm like personally not that good at putting what I think onto words, as you guys have seen if you watch the vlog. Like, I like to talk in circles, and I just do stuff like that all the time. So I typed it out, I tried to get it right. As I was reading it, I realized that it's still pretty rough. And like, I'm sorry, it's not the best. I'll get better, but I just wanted to put this out there just to have it so that I can, one, see how well I progress as time goes on, and two, just to do it, you know, just to get it done, get it out there on the channel, and just learn from it, learn how to be better. So let's go ahead and hop right in.
Here's Johnny.
The Shining is the 1980 film by Stanley Kubrick based off of the popular Stephen King novel. It stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Danny Lord as the Torrance family. Jack has recently been hired as a caretaker of the Overlook Hotel during the winter while it's closed, and they're the only 3 people at the hotel during that time. Jack is a teacher turned writer who is using this time away to try and work on a story. However, during this time, we see him steadily have a mental breakdown. The movie is relatively slow for about the first half. It is interesting enough to make you want to finish, but it doesn't have a whole lot of action. The second half, though, is absolutely fantastic. We really start getting into Jack's mental issues, and his decline becomes much steeper than before, and the story itself starts to pick up and become more fast-paced. As a family, they're already isolated in this hotel, but then Jack isolates himself even further by having a writing room that people aren't allowed into. There are instances where he goes to an empty bar in the ballroom and sits down to order an imaginary drink from an imaginary bartender. These particular scenes are actually very fantastic because we get to see Jack really develop his character of Jack. He talks about how much he loves his son, and we never heard him, whereas at the beginning of the movie we hear from his wife about how one time he came home drunk, and while in that drunken rage broke Danny's collarbone, actually. He also talks a little bit how his wife is making this whole situation harder on him because she won't really something happened to Danny and she thinks it was his fault that he got hurt again, and she just always has that fear of that happening to him, but I'll talk about that in just a minute. One of these scenes is where he finds himself talking to one of the previous caretakers. His name is Delbert, he's played by Philip Stone, and he actually ends up being the catalyst for Jack wanting to kill his family. And obviously Delbert is not really there, as if you've watched it, then you know that previously in the movie they mentioned how Delbert killed his own family and then killed himself at that hotel. So Jack is imagining talking to the caretaker that killed his family, and then that caretaker that he's imagining is telling himself to kill his family. Now you see how I'm getting with Jack's mental breakdown is very traumatic to him. At the end of the movie, Wendy finds Jack's writings, and it's all page after page after page of just saying, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." This particularly makes me wonder when his mental breakdown actually began, because he's been writing the whole time he's been there. So it makes me think, has he been slowly getting worse during the time at the hotel? Or was it present before they were even married or even arrived and he was just hiding it? But now the isolation and the obsession over this work has just brought it to the forefront and just made it accelerate beyond belief. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you've seen it, let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments, because these characters are very intricate, and they're not like confusing, but there are a lot of different ways to view the situations they're going through, and a lot of different points that I probably missed my first time viewing this. So I'll watch it again eventually and probably pick up on a few things that I didn't this first time. That being said, Jack Nicholson is fantastic in this movie. He does a fantastic performance of slowly acting insane, and then that second half hits, like I said, and he just goes crazy. There's one scene where he's walking up the stairs talking to his wife saying, "I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm not gonna hurt you," and she's like telling him to back up, and he's like, "Let me finish my sentence." He says, "I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm just gonna bash your brains in," and just phenomenal performance by him. His son Danny is also having some mental troubles himself. Now, this character is fairly confusing for me personally, trying to figure out what he is, I guess. He has an imaginary friend who seems to know what is going to happen at the hotel, as well as what has already happened. There are scenes where Danny is going around the hotel and sees two girls standing in the hallway, and then there are quick flashes of a woman and a child laying in the hallway, murdered with their blood all over the walls, as well as he imagines these two doors with blood just spilling out of them, flooding the room, and you see that scene a lot throughout this movie. Like I said earlier, Danny is kind of a hard character for me to pin down. I can't really get a feel for what he's doing in the movie. I know that as a child of the family, he's there to be kind of an anchor for Wendy and Jack and a reason for them to be together. But other than that, I'm not sure of the purpose of his imaginary friend or the infamous red rum scenes. It's not that it's unnecessary, it's just hard for me to connect the dots for that particular character. So like I said, let me know what you guys think, and the more I watch it, then the more I'll be able to connect those dots. All the while this is going on, Wendy is just caught in the middle of it. She just wants the best for her son, who she knows is going through something, especially with his imaginary friend, and just the way he's just acting odd. She also wants to love her husband, but seems very afraid. As I mentioned at the beginning of the movie, and at one of the bar scenes, it's talked about how Jack came home drunk one evening, ended up breaking Danny's collarbone. This makes me feel like there was some abuse going on before that actual particular incident, because she says that once that happened is when Jack decided to stop drinking. Yet while we're at the hotel, whenever he goes and orders drinks and he's talking to the bartender. So I personally feel like there was family abuse before he decided to stop drinking, yet he may have just said that, or I don't know. Either way, he goes back to it, which I feel is a good character point, where he was at that bad enough point to where he broke his son's collarbone of abusing his family, to where now, as he's starting to slowly decline mentally, he's going back to that and starts trying to kill his family. Shelley Duvall herself, she's the actor for Wendy. She has very large eyes, like just as a person. She uses them to her advantage very well. There's one scene where she goes into Jack's writing room to ask if he wants to go for a walk, and he just goes off, starts yelling and cursing at her to not come in there while he's writing, not to disturb his work or anything like that. And she immediately retracts herself and uses those wide eyes to put a look of fear on her face. And in my mind, the fear that Jack will relapse to his abusive self. She knows what he's capable of, and she's afraid that that particular part of him is going to be brought up again, and she doesn't want that to happen, especially while they're up here isolated, there's no help, anything like that.
Here's Johnny!
So now we'll move on from the story and from the acting to more of the aesthetic style of things. From a director standpoint, I really do like the cinematography of this movie. It uses a lot of tracking shots, so like Danny's riding his tricycle through the hallways and stuff, and the camera's just right behind him, following him the whole way. A lot of handheld in this movie. It's not bad at all. It's not like too shaky to even watch, like I said about American Made. It's not like that at all. It is very good cinematography just overall. And there's only one jump scare, fantastically. Thankfully, I'm not a big fan of jump scares, and there's only one. But it got me, I'll tell you that. There's a good amount of slow zooms as well, just to build up that tension and pressure that is, when is Jack going to snap? It has a lot of strange imagery. Obviously, you've got the fully stocked bar at a 1920s-esque ballroom dance, which is obviously not going on. It shows you kind of just what is going on with Jack if he's starting to see that. There's a lady in the bathtub that apparently tried to choke out Danny. So whenever Jack goes to investigate it, he just starts making out with her for some reason. I don't understand. But then he looks in the mirror, and she's some old zombie lady with peeling skin. It's very, very strange. Kubrick, the director, does a great job of making the audience see just how much of a downward spiral Jack's mental state is in due to that strange imagery. Those are just two examples, but just the things he sees, the things that Danny is seeing, like the two girls, the hallway full of blood, it really makes you feel like it makes you stop and think, like, what is going on? What am I looking at? And it kind of puts you in Jack's mind, like, I'm just seeing all these things. How am I supposed to react to it? Hopefully you don't go and murder your family, but you know. That being said, it's not like the shot composition of the movie is what carried it. It is fantastic and does a good job of helping tell the story, but in my mind the music is more important in this instance. From the first scene in the movie to the end, the music is there to keep you on your toes. It's a fairly spooky not like cheap spooky, but like just tense, like someone's watching me from behind, you gotta check your shoulder every corner type of tense music. And it really does help set the mood. It makes you wonder, like I was saying, what is around every corner that Danny goes around on his tricycle. He goes around a tricycle, is there something there? They walk through doors, there's something there. But it doesn't do it in a cheap way. It just builds and builds slowly and steadily, and then it hits where it needs to. It doesn't like just bang, there's a loud. There actually are a few random loud noises that I felt were kind of out of place. That's really all I have to say about that. Like, there were just a couple random loud noises, like that was just kind of out of nowhere. Like, there wasn't a jump or anything. It was just, but other than those like 2 or 3 literal sounds, the music is beautiful throughout this. And as I said, there's really only one jump scare, so you don't have to worry about that if that was a worry for you going into this movie.
Here's Johnny!
So as I watched this movie and as I was doing this review, I realized that different movies require different types of reviews. When I first had the series in mind, I just imagined talking about like just the cinematography, because that's what I want to focus on mainly for myself, is just how the cinematography worked out, which I could eventually change it to later on, but after seeing this movie and writing this review, I know that I had to play to the movie itself. The cinematography is fantastic in this movie, but it is not at all the most important part. The acting is phenomenal. It drew me into each individual character, helped me feel what they were going through, helped me experience Jack's mental decline, helped me just fear him in the way that Wendy was. The sound and the weird imagery helped me realize just how, like I was saying, how, along with his acting, how serious his mental state was. The music kept me tense, kept me waiting for Jack to just snap. It was always building up to that point to where I was thinking, this is it. This is where he's gonna snap. It didn't get tedious at any point, but it just kept making me feel like, what is going on? This man is not healthy. But I really did enjoy this movie. It was a great movie. I would definitely recommend it to just about anyone, and definitely watch again, as I said, just to watch it again to try and catch a few things that I haven't, try and connect a few dots that I haven't been able to connect yet, and just to get a better understanding of the movie itself. I'm sorry. With that being said, I am going to give The Shining a 9 out of 10. Beautiful movie. Some people may say like the nostalgia appeal, but I watched it today, so I don't really have that nostalgia appeal. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like it was the most beautifully shot movie of all time. Like, no, it's a camera from 1980. It's not high quality compared to today's cameras. That doesn't really matter to me. It was a fantastic story, fantastic editing, fantastic music. They did what they did with the cameras they had, and it worked out wonderfully, and it came together to be a beautiful movie. So yes, I do really love The Shining. Would definitely recommend it. Will definitely watch it again. Hope you guys watch it again. Watch it eventually. Hope you guys enjoy it, just as I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hit that like button if you want me to keep doing these. I'll get better, I promise. I know this one was kind of rough. It's a first step. That's how all first steps are, but we'll get better. Hit that like button if you want me to do some more. Comment what you think about my review and what you think about the movie itself. And thank you guys for liking, watching, commenting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And as usual, it's been William Packer Joker. Y'all have a nice day.